365 Sports.
Happy Thursday. Welcome in to another show here on 365 Mizzou with Rogue Media. My name is Davis Wilson. Coming to you from, Dallas, where I usually come from. I don't know why I mentioned that. Anyway, today we got a little bit of a different episode. Missouri obviously is done playing until whatever bowl game they get. And we don't know where that's going to be or when that's going to be. But what we do know is that we have an SEC championship game coming up this week, Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock. We have Georgia versus Alabama. And this is a matchup we've had a lot in the history of college football, but especially a lot recently, and especially in big games. These two teams have played each other. I have it written down 4 times in the SEC championship and twice in the national championship. So it seems like they're always playing in big games. And I was shocked to see this. Like, I went and looked up previous meetings, and Alabama has dominated Georgia, completely dominated Georgia. The series overall is 45-26-4. So 46 wins for Alabama, 26 for Georgia, and 4 ties. And Georgia has beaten Alabama 1 time in 11 meetings since 2008. Alabama comes into this matchup having won 3 games in a row against Georgia, including one this season that we'll talk about. But I just find it pretty interesting here how much Alabama has dominated. And, Kalen DeBoer was hired by Alabama last year, and he has not necessarily been fantastic in big games, but he has been fantastic against Georgia. He's 2-0 against Georgia, picking up right where Nick Saban left off in this series. So that is one thing that he's pretty good at. And both these teams are good. You look at it's number 3 Georgia, number 9 Alabama. I think Alabama is kind of playing for a spot in the playoff, although it's hard for me to imagine, leaving a team out because they lose in the championship game, but you never know. I mean, it's really tight right now on the bubble of this playoff. So a win in Alabama is for sure in. Georgia is in either way. But yeah, man, it's going to be a good game. And I'm going to talk about it a little bit. We don't really have any Mizzou news. Signing day was yesterday, but I talked about that yesterday. If you're curious how they did, you can go watch yesterday's episode. But yeah, let's just preview this game because it's going to be a good game. It's championship week, which is awesome in college football. There's a lot of good games on. All day Friday, there are going to be good games, and I'll talk about some more of those games later. But we'll start with how we usually do in our Mizzou previews. We'll start with the stats, the SEC stats. We'll start with total offense. Georgia has the 7th best total offense in the SEC, averaging 416.1 yards per game. Alabama is right behind them, averaging 404.4 yards per game. Passing offense, 11th. Georgia is 11th. They average 225.7 yards through the air. Bama is number 4, 278.3 yards through the air. Run offense, Georgia is number 4, 190 yards on the ground. Bama is 13, 126. So Georgia, good on the ground, not so great through the air. Bama, the exact opposite. So there's a good matchup for you. Scoring offense, Georgia is 7th, averaging 32.3 points per game. Alabama is 5th, averaging 33.3 points per game. Total defense, both these defenses are good. Georgia is 4th, allowing 290.8 yards per game. Bama right in front of them, allowing 282.2 yards per game. Bama's defense started out pretty rough there against Florida State. They allowed like 200-something yards on the ground to Florida State. But since then, they have tightened it up, and I've had a really good defense. And, Missouri fans will remember they made some stops late against Missouri that prevented the Tigers from going to try to tie the game. So they are capable of turning you over and everything. We'll talk about that in a little bit as well. Pass defense, Georgia is 7th, 204.8 yards allowed through the air. Against Georgia's defense, Bama, number 1 pass defense in the SEC, allowing 157.8 yards per game through the air. Run defense, Georgia is 2nd in the SEC, allowing 86 yards on the ground per game. Bama is 8th, allowing 124.3 yards, rush yards per game. Scoring defense, both top 3 in the SEC. Georgia is 3rd, allowing 16.7 points per game. Bama is 2nd, allowing 16.5 points per game. All right. I forgot to say this. I like to do the history of these matchups. The first game played between these two teams is all the way back in 1895. In Columbus, Georgia. Georgia won that game 30-6. And the next game was in 1901 in Montgomery, Alabama. It was 0-0, so a real barn burner there. But in the 2012 SEC championship game, Bama beat Georgia 32-28. In the 2018 national championship game, Alabama beat Georgia 26-23. In the 2018 SEC championship game, Alabama won again 35-28. In the 2021 SEC championship game, Alabama won 41-24. And finally, a win here in the 2022 national championship, Georgia won 33-18. And then in 2023, they played in the championship game again, SEC championship game. Alabama won 27-24. So in these big games, Alabama has had Georgia's number. Both defenses are top 12 nationally in terms of total yards allowed per game. They're both tied for 11th in red zone defense. They allow scores in the red zone just 73% of the time. Then they're both top 40 in red zone offense. Georgia just a little bit better in that category. All right, they played this year. I mentioned that already. They squared off this year back in September, right at the beginning of the SEC slate for both teams in Athens, Georgia. So the home field in Athens, and you got to remember the SEC title game is played in Georgia. It's in Atlanta. So it's another kind of semi-home game for Georgia. But that didn't matter in the previous matchup. Alabama won it 24-21. Bama scored all 24 points in the first half, scored on 4 of their 5 first possessions of the game. Georgia just couldn't really keep up. Gunnar Stockton, Georgia's quarterback, threw for only 130 yards and a touchdown, while Ty Simpson of Alabama threw for 276 yards and 2 touchdowns. I remember this game. It was a game that Alabama really needed because they had lost to Florida State pretty badly to open the year, and Florida State now has turned out to be not a good team. So they didn't even make the bowl game. I think they finished 5-7, and they kind of took it to they took it to Alabama week 1. And they beat UL Monroe. Alabama did the next week 73-0. Then they beat up on Wisconsin. So this was kind of like, what kind of Alabama team is this? They go to Georgia. They beat them 24-21. Jam Miller, their running back, 46 yards on the ground. It was the receiving corps who did a good job. They caught for 280 yards. Ryan Williams had 43 yards. Jeremy Bernard had 35 and a touchdown. Just a really nice team effort, I think, across the board. Defensively, Bama was good. They got to the quarterback twice for sacks. Just a close game. These two teams usually play pretty competitive games. You think of last year's Alabama-Georgia game that was in Tuscaloosa. And, man, that was a back-and-forth game. It was I think it was Alabama took a big lead Georgia storms back, ties it up, and then it's just back and forth there for the last minute of the game. Alabama ends up winning it. But that was, I mean, I just think there's so many competitive games. I don't think this game's going to be any different. Both very good teams in their own right. But here's some players to know, just for those who haven't maybe kept up with these two teams, a ton over the year. Ty Simpson is the Alabama quarterback, 6'2", 208 pounds, from Martin, Tennessee. This year he's been pretty awesome, thrown for over 3,000 yards, 25 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. He's also run for 126 yards and 2 scores. Not really a dual threat guy, but has scored twice on it. Then you have Jam Miller, the running back, almost 500 yards, 3 touchdowns. They really don't. They're not a very dangerous team on the ground offensively. They don't run the ball that much because they have a quarterback that they like to throw it with. They have three really good receivers. Jeremy Bernard is the first one leading the team in receiving yards. The 6'1" senior from Vegas has 700 yards on the year, 6 touchdowns. Then you have the household name, the true sophomore Ryan Williams, who was outstanding last year, caught for 865 yards last year. This year he's down a little bit at 598 yards, 4 touchdowns, but still one of the most electric players in college football. He does have a bit of a drop problem this year, so that's something to watch if he can hang on to the football. And then you have Isaiah Horton, 418 yards and 8 touchdowns. He's their main touchdown getter. He's from Nashville, Tennessee. Played at Miami before, transferred in, and has been a big addition for them. Then you have Caden Proctor, a big offensive lineman up there who's probably going to get drafted this year. 6'7", 366 pounds, from Des Moines, Iowa. I know of Caden Proctor from his there's a little saga where he went to Alabama, transferred to Iowa, and then transferred right back to Alabama. It was kind of a weird deal. I don't know. That's kind of how I remember him. But you should also know that they do they've got this package. I forget what it's called. It's like the Waffle House package or something. I talked about it in my Alabama, Missouri preview a couple months ago, but they line him up at running back and they hand him the ball. It's called like the Waffle House or something like that, I think. God, I wish I could remember the name, but on the goal line or on a, 3rd and short or 4th and short, they might put him at running back and let him run. That's something exciting to watch for, and he's difficult to bring down. He's 6'7", over 360 pounds. He's massive. And then lastly, they have Dijon Lee, who's just named I think it was a finalist for the Sean Alexander Freshman of the Year award. Dijon Lee. He should make a mustard like Bijan, but he's even better. He's Dijon, 6'4" cornerback. I love those big, tall, long cornerbacks. Is a true freshman from California. Has 4 passes defended this year, 2 interceptions. He's second on the team in interceptions behind Bray Hubbard, a safety from Ocean Springs, Mississippi. He's got 4 of them, but he does, I believe. He's an incredible true freshman. Has 28 tackles. He's a guy who can make a difference for you. And then Justin Jefferson, another guy you should know on that Alabama defense. Not the wide receiver in Minnesota, but the 6'1", 227-pound linebacker from Memphis, Tennessee. One of their best players all around. I mean, they've got a really nice group of linebackers. He's leading the way there. He's got 5 passes defended, 1 interception, 2 sacks on the year, 63 total tackles, which leads the team. He's also got a forced fumble. So there's a couple guys on the Alabama side of things a couple guys to remember. On the Georgia side, of course, you got Gunnar Stockton, their quarterback, 2,500 yards, 20 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. He is a bit more of a dual threat type guy. Georgia kind of runs this RPO offense where you can run, you can pass, you can do a little bit of everything. But he's got 400 3 rushing yards and 8 rushing touchdowns on the season. So he is a guy who can beat you with his legs. He is from Tiger, Georgia. That's a pretty cool name for a city, I think. At the running back position, their main guy is Nate Frazier from California, a sophomore. He's got 800 yards and 5 touchdowns on the season. Last year he ran for, as a true freshman, last year he ran for almost 700 yards and 8 touchdowns. So an experienced guy back there. They also have Chauncey Bowens, a freshman from Florida. He had his best game against Alabama back in September. He had 12 carries for 119 yards and 1 touchdown. He did not eclipse 100 yards the rest of the year. So he has done it against Alabama. He's got confidence against the Tide, apparently. He never even exceeded 70 yards for the rest of the season. He got to 70 twice, but only went over 70 once, and it was against Alabama. So watch out for him. And then, of course, Stockton, their third leading rusher, their leading rushing touchdown getter, is their quarterback. At receiver, you have Zachariah Branch. This guy, I believe, started at USC. He was a big-time recruit from Vegas. This year, he's been good this year. 68 catches, 691 yards, 4 touchdowns, leading the way in that receiver room. They also have a bunch of tight ends they like to use. They like to go into 12 personnel, which is when you have 2 tight ends. This helps them a lot with their RPO. It gives them a lot of flexibility on what they can do. Oscar Delp is their leading tight end, 235 yards and a touchdown. And then they have Lawson Lucky, 120 yards, but he's got 4 touchdown catches. So he is a threat down there in the red zone for sure. Those are kind of their main threats at receiver. They also have London Humphreys from Nashville. He's got 3 touchdowns. So those are some guys to know on the offense. Defensively, the main guy you have to know on this Georgia defense is linebacker C.J. Allen. This linebacker group is outstanding, and it's led by C.J. Allen, who's probably going to be a first-round pick in this upcoming draft. 80 tackles, leads the team, 3.5 sacks, 3 passes defended, 2 forced fumbles. Just a bit of an animal out there. Against Alabama, he had 8 tackles. Was pretty much all over the place. His best game came against Tennessee, where he had 11 total tackles. But I lied. Florida, he had 13 tackles. But he's just a really great all-around player, can cover well, is good in pursuit and everything. He's their best linebacker. Right behind him is Raylan Wilson, a junior from Florida, another linebacker. He's got 2.5 sacks on the year, 65 tackles, a pass defended. Very good. KJ Bolden is another guy to watch for. He's a defensive back for them, 2 interceptions, which I believe – oh, no, it doesn't lead the team. The team leader is Ellis Robinson IV, a freshman from Connecticut, 4 interceptions on the year. I don't know if he's a true freshman. Let's actually look at that. Ellis Robinson IV. Let me see if he's not a true freshman. He's a redshirt freshman from Connecticut. That's pretty cool. But yeah, there's some dudes on this Georgia defense, and it may not be the Georgia defense that we've become used to over the past decade of football. But it is very good. It's just, they will give up some yards. You saw that Ole Miss game where it was kind of a shootout. You don't see Georgia getting into too many shootouts. But this defense is good. It's been good all year. That was the most points they'd given up all year, was against Ole Miss. They gave up 21 to Mississippi State, held Texas to 10, held Georgia Tech to 9. So, they gave up 35 to Ole Miss. My apologies. They gave up 41 to Tennessee way back in the day, back there in the middle of September. So it's an improved defense. A lot of big dudes on that side of the ball. A lot of guys to know. Okay. What else do I have for you? I talked about it. Georgia runs this RPO offense, which means you have a run-pass option. Gunnar Stockton's gotten a lot better at that as years gone on. Both teams run a 4-man front defensively. Alabama runs a 4-2-5. They call it a swamp 4-2-5. A little different from 3-4 they ran a lot with Saban. 4-2-5 just means they have 4 down linemen, 2 linebackers, and 5 defensive backs. Kind of gives them a lot of flexibility. Leaves them prone to rush, some rush yards, but this is a defense that's also been really good throughout the year. So there you go. Okay, let's look at what's going on this weekend in college football. It's championship weekend, like I said. I'm going to give you some picks. But on Friday night, things start off with Troy at James Madison at 6 o'clock. Then you have Kennesaw State at Jacksonville State, North Texas at Tulane. John Summerall back coaching Tulane for this game, which is kind of fun. I don't know if Eric Morris is still at North Texas. I don't know if they're allowing him to coach that game. I have no idea. UNLV at Boise State also on Friday. And then on Saturday, it gets good. You got BYU at Texas Tech. You got Miami, Ohio at Western Michigan. You got Georgia at Alabama. I mean, these ads don't mean anything. They're all neutral sites. Indiana versus Ohio State, and Duke versus Virginia. So here are my picks for you before I sign off for the day. Let's see. BYU. I'm taking BYU plus 12.5. That feels like a very big spread. This game is in Texas, so I think the Red Raider faithful will be there. But, man, BYU just kept their coach from going to Penn State. I don't think they'll win the game, but 12.5 seems like a lot of points for a good football team. I know that Texas Tech kind of got after them in the first meeting. They beat them by 29-7, but I do like BYU to cover here. Alabama, a 2.5-point underdog. Give me Alabama and the points. I think there's a good chance Alabama wins this game. They just seem to have Georgia's number. But for now, I'll just take the points. I'm not going to mess with money line or anything. Ohio State -4 against Indiana. I love that. This game is in Indianapolis, so in Indiana. I don't know if that's going to matter. Ohio State is going to win this game by more than 4 points. Same thing with Virginia, also a 4-point favorite against Duke. I think they take care of business against Duke. Earlier in the season, they beat Duke 34-17. Yeah, I think they get them by more than 4 points and punch their ticket to the college football playoff. Those are my picks. I don't know what my pick record is. It's not great, honestly. So, fade me if you want, whatever. Yeah, that's the deal. All right, that's all I have for today. Come back tomorrow. I think I'll try to get a guest on. We'll talk about something. Appreciate you guys for joining me. SEC Championship, 3 o'clock on Saturday afternoon.
365 Sports.